Morning, boys and girls. We're looking at just more equivalent fractions, but linking to what we've already done previously. So today we're going to be looking at adding fractions together and then including from that, after we add them, finding the equivalent fraction. So if we have a look at a nice simple one to start with, if we look at 1/3, add 1/3, we know what 1/3 looks like. It's a whole divided into 3 equal parts, and then we've got one of those parts. Exactly the same on the other one. 1/3 is a whole divided into 3 equal parts. If we work that out, we've got 1/3 add 1/3. That gives us 2/3, which we know is a whole divided into 3 equal parts. And then we've got 2 of those parts. Now, once we've done the addition or the subtraction, we're then going to start to, can we change the answer to an equivalent fraction? So I'm going to have a look at 2/3 here. And I know from my work I've done over the last couple of days that 2/3 is the same as 1, 2, 3, 4/6. So if we think back to our fraction line, 2/3, I'm counting in 2's on the top, 2, 4, and 3's for the denominator, 3, 6. I know it's the same as 4/6. So what we're trying to do today is we're trying to work out the addition, then we're getting an answer, and then we're finding an equivalent fraction. So we're linking together a lot of that maths that we've already done. We're doing the fraction addition, we're working out the answer, and then using the maths we've been doing with equivalent fractions, we're just working out an equivalent fraction. If you could, to push yourself, you can try and work out the next one. We're going in 2's on the top here, so 2, 4, 6, and we're doing 3's on the bottom, 3, 6, 9, so 6/9. And again, just drawing it out always helps us just to have a look at it. And there's it, a whole divided into 9 equal parts, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those equal parts. And we can see that even with my badly drawn on a whiteboard, they are equal, they're the same amount. So that's what we're looking at on the Do It today. You've got some questions which have just given you bars to work out the number sentence. You've got some which are just number sentences to work out. But what you need to produce for each question is a number sentence like I've got at the top here. 1/3 add 1/3 equals 2/3, and then equals again the equivalent, because it is equal, it is the same, it's just a different way of looking at it. So have a go at the Do It questions, and then we'll look at the next bit from there. So here on our Apply It today, we're looking at if equivalent fractions have an even number in the denominator and the numerator. Do they have an even number? So if we just look at some, I'm going to use 1/3 as an example. So 1/3, an equivalent fraction to 1/3 we've done over the last couple of days. Going in 1's on the top, I've got 2 on the top, going in 3's on the bottom, 3, 6. So there, the equivalent fraction both has even numbers. Remember, in our even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay, our odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So here, they've got an equivalent fraction, and they both are even. So what I've said is, true or false, every equivalent fraction we get is always going to have both even numbers. So have a little look and see if you can find one maybe that isn't, because at the moment that does look like it is. If I did another one, for example, let's look at 1/2. Going in 1's on the top, I get a 2, and 2's on the bottom, I get 4. So again, I've got a different fraction. I've got an equivalent fraction. It's the same way we've been doing it, but it's got even numbers again. Is that always the case or not? Have a play around and see if you can find out if it is always going to give you an even one, or are there some that maybe don't give you even ones? Alright, here's an example of a solve it question, boys and girls. Now you'll notice it's a little bit backwards this time. We've got our add-in number sentence here. We've then got two fractions here. So it's like the do it question, but this time we're starting with the fraction. So we've got to find an equivalent fraction and then find what two fractions could add together to give us that. So I've done it this way so we can work that way along the line of fractions along it. So we've got our first one is 2, 6. What is it equivalent to? Now I know it's going to have 3's on the bottom here. I can see that. So for me to add fractions together, I know they both need to be 3, which means this one is going to be a 3 there. So then I've got to look at, all right, what is the same with thirds on the bottom as 2, 6? Okay, so I've obviously done 3's on the bottom here. For me to go from there to 2, I'd need to have done 1's there. So I've got 1/3. Now I've got something thirds, add something thirds here. Now obviously if I've got 1, I've got to have 0 thirds there, add 1/3 there. Now what you're trying to do is you're working back the other way. So you're looking at the fractions we got here. What fraction could have possibly come before, or would have come before in our fractions ladder, and then what could we add together to get that fraction? They've all got slightly different missing numbers for you to have a little play around with.